So today, doing the Canon 90D first impressions video for you all. That's what I'm filming on right now, 90D. Filming in 1080p, 60 frames per second. And you know why I do that? Because I got my action camera that I film in 60 frames per second and my drone that I film in 60 frames per second as well. And then I can slow it all down. Most of my stuff isn't very Hollywood, you might have noticed, but certainly like to get around and do a bit of hiking, a bit of water activities and all sorts of shit. So 1080p 60 works well for that. Today I'm doing a hike to a place called White Rock, and you're coming. You're coming with me. But here's an example of why I like to shoot in 1080p 60 frames per second. So recently one of my viewers commented, he said, gee, that video looks really sharp. And it was because I was filming in 1080p, 60 frames per second. There's twice the data in each second. Bloody severe fire danger today. So just got to be a bit careful. It's pretty windy, very dry. Now I upgraded from the Canon M50. Well, before I got the M50, I actually had the 700D. And that, you know, it was a good starter camera. I actually loved it. And I upgraded to the M50 for all the extra autofocusing points, the 4K, mirrorless, you know, many reasons why. But as soon as I did, part of me regretted it because I liked the size of the 700D, get a good grip on it, just made things a bit more stable when filming. So that was always with me. Whenever I was using the M50, it was like this tiny little camera. I've gone back to a chunky camera and I love it. So my first impression when I took it out of the box was, holy shit, this camera is beefy. And it was in a good way because I like that extra grip. But it also offers weather sealing, which is great. I went and did some photography the other day. Light rain, no stress. And it also offers 120 frames per second in 1080p. The M50 had that, but only in 720p. How do you think this looks? This is enhanced stabilization. Manual mode, F11, 60 frames per second. Double my shutter speed. Looks pretty stable for a walker. Can you hear the birds? They've gone berserk before. It was almost like there was a snake in the ground. Normally if there's a snake or something around, the birds will go crazy. Now the 90D has less autofocus points than the Canon M50, but I don't really care. I don't need a million autofocus points. I've got 45 and that's plenty for me. If I want to be creative and manual focus, then my focus points are endless. So it's not really an issue, and the autofocus is, as we all know, the best you can get really on Canon. And another selling point for me, because I do like doing landscape photography, was 32 megapixels. You can say what you want about megapixels and that they don't matter, but they do matter, and more can be better. And I think the 90D sort of hits the mark nicely. Am I overexposing? How's that? Love the colors on this camera. Now I am always impressed with the video footage that comes straight out of camera. This only films in IPB, so you can't grade it drastically, but for stuff that I do, which is YouTube videos, vlogging, it's not too bad. And straight out of camera, it's probably as good as you're going to get within this price range. Now I could have got the RP, Canon RP, for the same price as the 90D, but I didn't want to go down that route. I'm not sold on Canon mirrorless yet. Maybe the R5 and the R6 will change that. But you're starting to talk some big bucks there. Some bucks that a lot of us don't have. I got the camera and we're still really in lockdown. You're still quite restricted on what we can do. So I haven't been out and done a massive amount of photography with the camera. But the photos I have taken, I'm happy with. It's the same with video and photography for Canon. When people talk about the Canon colors, it really comes through. Especially if you're just shooting the IPB or straight in the JPEG, you're going to get some really awesome colors. So I took it out of the box, took some photos, and I was blown away straight away. I noticed an immediate difference, and I still do notice a difference. So it's not just like, you know, when you buy something, you're all excited and no one can point out any faults in it. Well, I know that happens to me, but not with the 90D. It's been about a month, and I'm still impressed with what I see coming out of camera. Now, I don't shoot with Canon L series glass or any high-end glass, so you know, the sharpness for me is going to be your low-end lenses, so that's something I do take into consideration. But you know, 30 years ago, no one had fucking L series glass, and photographers were amazing then, and videographers were amazing then. But yeah, things like sharpness will be impacted by the quality of your lens. This is a 10 to 18mm wide angle lens, which is pretty cool. That's at 10mm on the crop sensor with stabilization on, and that's one arm's length away from me. So I can come right in. That's like 6 inches from me, maybe 10 inches. So I can't get too distracted. First impressions video. I'm stoked with it. First impressions. This is the best camera I've ever owned, so I should be stoked. There's people. Why are they on my walking track? One thing I gotta say is that little LCD screen on the top. I had to get used to that, never had it before. Love it. It's awesome. So I can just look down, I don't have to shoot through the viewfinder, although I should, but sometimes if I'm in a pinch I don't have to. I can look down, I can check my aperture, I can change my ISO, I can change my drive mode, I can change anything, and I can really customize it. A little bit on the dull side. That's a bit better. Yeah, so really customizable with all the buttons on the back in terms of making it what I want to make it. And there's also those two custom function buttons on the top dial. Man, I might put my ND filter on because this sun's coming and going. It's pissing me off. There we go. Before I was on f11, so it wasn't as bright. Now I'm on f4.5. And look, I don't have to play around with the screen. Make it as dark or as bright as I want. Do I think the ND filters make it a little bit, affect the quality of the image a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. But my name's not Spielberg. Almost at White Rock. It's just up here. And a little fun secret. Well, it's not fun for me. Little secret. I'm scared of heights. So just got up to White Rock, but it was so windy. I didn't record anything. Well, I got some footage, have a look at that, but I didn't do any talking. It was so windy and busy, man. There's some coronavirus up there. Yeah, I wanted to get up there, fly the drone, and then put the 60 frames per second footage next to the Canon footage. That's 60 frames per second. But no luck. But one thing I did do, while I was up there, I took some photos with the 90D and transferred them straight to my phone and then sent them to my wife just to let her know I'm okay and that I made it. So that's another feature which I also had on the M50, but it's nice they've kept it in the Canon 90D range. first impressions. Image quality, sweet. I mean, you got 4K in 24p with Canon's awesome autofocus. So I'm digging that shit. The 1080p, 60 frames per second is good. Image quality for photography is good. Weather sealing, for me, it's just all adding up to just an awesome little package. For Australia, it's around $2,000. Hang on. So in Australia, it's around $2,000. Probably looking at $1,000 in the US, maybe 1,200. I don't know, but $2,000 in Australia, and that's with the 18-135 kit lens, which isn't a bad lens. Actually, something else that is it's just the best is the battery life. So, you know, the Canon M50, I was going through 3 batteries every day, and on this one I'm doing like 1 battery every 3 days. Yeah, so right now the battery symbol is flashing red, has been for about 25 minutes. Now on the Canon M50, if that battery symbol was flashing red, you kaput. That's it, battery gone. You know, if I come down here at 5 in the morning, kangaroos everywhere. This time of day, none. All eating. Well, maybe I can get some B-roll of some kangaroos for the sake of the video. Alrighty guys, so that is my first impressions of the Canon 90D. Now I will be doing a full review at my own pace of the Canon 90D, and I'm also going to be doing a comparison between the Canon M50 and the Canon 90D, and we'll see if there really is some big differences between the two. So that's pretty much it. Hit that like button and the subscribe button. I appreciate you watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Checker!